Craig Marduk is back with a vengeance. As well as boasting a sweet new beard, he also has vastly improved block punishment from previous titles. He still quite easily has one of the worst overall sets of while standing punishment in Tekken 7, but his standing punishment is seriously no joke, and it's appropriately hard hitting. Let's get into it.
Put the camera on me. No one can stop me. No one.
Marduk's options for 10 frame block punishment are slightly above average. His 1-2 is very generic with 19 damage and +5, but you can use it to transition into Valetudo stance, which can be useful for mix-ups. 1 down 2 is very strong with 20 damage and a pretty huge +7. With 22 damage and +5, 2-1 isn't one of the top 10 best 10 frame punishes in the game, but it's almost certainly top half. And speaking of best in the game, Marduk's 13 frame punish does 38 damage and a spin, and you know what that means? It's also wall splats. Outside of Kazuya's perfect electric wind god fist and Katarina's forward 2-4, which are both hard enough to do that you could discount them, this is by far the hardest hitting 13 frame punish in the game without meter. If you happen to come across a situation where none of the previous moves will reach, back 4 is a 14 frame mid with 20 damage and +2 on hit. An even bigger change than the 13 frame godlike punish that he now has is the fact that he now has a 15 frame launcher, unlike previous iterations. Another 15 frame option is forward 1+2, but this is more for punishing moves with a lot of pushback, so we'll get onto those in a minute. Your max damage options for moves that are -17 or more are up forward 1+2, which is a high, and down forward 3, down forward 1, which is your max damage and it's a mid, but it has slightly less range. And speaking of range, like a lot of characters, Marduk is going to struggle to punish moves with a lot of pushback at tick range. I think your best options are either down back 2 and forward 1+2, which we mentioned before at 15 frames. Forward 1+2 is definitely a solid tool for these kinds of moves. If you neutral guard, it will always punish Death Fist. Just like 95% of the cast, Marduk has to punish -10 lows with a full crouch down jab. Marduk's while standing 1 is pretty interesting at 11 frames. With 14 damage and +3, it kind of sounds like easily one of the worst in the game, but it has a Valetudo stance transition, and it also has a delayable counter hit launching follow-up. At 13 frames, Marduk has what Gigas had in Season 1 before he gained the extension, a while standing 4 that does 21 damage and a close knockdown. It's solid, if not amazing, versus -13 moves, but unfortunately you're going to have to use this to punish moves at -15 and 16 as well, as he has no 15 frame while standing launcher. You do gain access to up forward 1+2 at 17 frames, as it has an up forward in the notation, but it is a high, so you have to keep in mind that lows that recover in crouch you won't be able to punish with this. And at 18 frames you get the same move as Gigas has, while standing 3, which is a 20 damage launcher, decent range, good damage, but obviously slower than you'd like it to be. And that's it for Marduk's block punishment. Once again, I think his standing block punishment really does stand up and could potentially be top 15 or so in the entire game, whereas his while standing punishment is honestly probably around bottom 5 to bottom 10. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I promised to get it out within 48 hours of Marduk's release, and I got it out day 1, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm posting a lot of my smaller findings for Marduk on my Twitter right now, so give me a follow there, and as always, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.